How's it going, everybody? There's been nothing more than this topic at hand that people have been asking me to cover. There's been so many people that have tagged me in this post. There's been so many people that have been asking my thoughts and opinions on it. And of course, we have to do it because I do think it's really important. There's a lot of things I think in this that we can educate on and try to provide some perspective on. But ultimately, it just kind of hurts. It just kind of hurts. So for those that don't know what I'm hinting at, literally less than 24 hours after RLCS World Championships concluded, the lads over at Shift decided to put out a tweet. And I quote, Space Station Gaming are expected to kick Retals before the 2022-2023 season. Literally less than 12 hours later. The organization will be targeting Oxygen Esports LJ as his replacement, and they have more details in their article. Now, for those that I told just a few days ago about the roster moves and all that kind of stuff, I don't talk about stuff until it's confirmed. I don't talk about any of the details. I try to stay out of it until we get the full details, unless it is something that is either A, a learning experience in the ways that we can approach these, or B, something that's just educational. Luckily, we've got all of those things here. We have most of the details, at least the ones that are going to be made public. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that we won't know, and a couple things that I can give you guys insight on. The next thing is we do know whether this is confirmed or not. This is a story that has evolved and given us more context over the last probably 48 hours. So let's start from the beginning and then watch this evolve together. I'll provide and give my takes as this one progresses. So this started at 1 p.m. on August 15th, the day after RLCS. The World Championship comes to a conclusion, 1 p.m. Central, and we get the information. So Retals has now been with Space Station for 2 years, a little over 2 years now, and has been a big reason as to why the team has gotten attention, good and bad, and has seen a massive increase in the fan base. A lot of people forget about Retals' dad and Retals' dad impact in that crowd, getting people excited, and why Space Station is arguably one of the favorites in North America. A lot of credit is actually given to Retals. Sometimes controversy is good. Sometimes making these hot takes and these hot approaches brings a lot of tension and garners a lot of tension on your team. And sometimes when you live up to that hype, it's even better. On the other side of it, whether you love or hate Retals, doesn't matter. There's some things that you can't ignore, like when they play Kansas City Pioneers, Pioneers loses, the players are crying, and Retals consoles that player. There's things like you can't ignore about his leadership in game, and there's certain things where they give up a very important kickoff goal and immediately rallies his troops and tries to get them focused back in at the task at hand. These are what I refer to as the intangibles. These are the things that a lot of people don't really get to notice purely on gameplay that make a massive impact on how successful a roster can be. Whether you love or hate Slater, which is Retals backwards, is his first name, there is some very important things that he does for this scene, both in the increase of viewership and everything else. It gets people more invested. It's the exact same thing of why I give as much credit to Shift. Love or hate competitive integrity or journalistic integrity or otherwise, Shift does some very important things for the scene, and things like this has completely set our offseason on fire. I have talked in detail about Shift getting signed by an organization in a video and talking about how important they are to our scene and what it means now that they have supporting. Things like this, because Shift has garnered the attention that they have over the last 2 years, is why they are privy to this information and why they get to know about this stuff and can break that information for all of us to talk about. It is super important for our scene that this stuff is being brought to light because it also holds people accountable. And I think that's what I take most from this. So let's dive in more to the specifics. So, things we know. Initially from the post, potential that Retals is getting the boot, that they are looking at LJ from Oxygen, which now gives 2 spots a little bit of a switcheroo. And the big thing is that the organization had nothing to do with it. This post came out, everybody loses their mind collectively. No one knows what the heck is going on. I get tagged a billion times in this article, and I go, wait, what? I'm sitting on a plane, like, my phone goes buzz, 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 and I just start going through notifications, and I go, what is going on? It's been, like, I haven't even gotten home yet. So all this stuff happens, it starts to develop. We see the post, and we are kind of in in a lull. And I think this is where the first like educational step comes into play. Number one, Shift has a very good track record. They have been pretty dang accurate when it comes to their announcements and everything else that comes along with it. To inform people how this stuff normally happens or the way that it should happen, Shift hears the information. Okay? There's some whispers, there's some rumors, there's some things going on behind the scenes. Shift gets to hear this. Shift then goes and approaches both parties. The person who is spreading the rumor, the person who it's about, they basically check all the boxes. Whoever is involved in this conversation, that's who they verify information with. If the players are willing to provide that information and confirm the information, they do. And then Shift then goes, are we allowed to share this information? Are you okay with that? Once those steps have all been cleared, then Shift usually will tell said people, hey, this is when we're looking to make it announced. This is the time. Does that sound good? Once that's all a-okay and all okie dokie, they put out the information and they impression farm like nobody's business. Okay? All that stuff happens. Now, the thing about these types of conversations, especially in the upcoming off season, is that people need to understand that things can change. I put this conversation into my Discord about people being critical thinkers and keeping an open mind on this stuff. And it's something that I have to express every single video because people just see this, they hear it as fact. There was a chance, again, not saying that they are wrong, but there is a chance that Shift putting this out, things could have changed. We could have went a whole offseason of Retals potentially getting kicked. Space Station tries out a bunch of different other players. And then all of a sudden we find out, you know what? They couldn't find a better replacement for Retals, and Retals stays on. That is 100% a possibility. It's happened in the past. Stuff like that can happen. Case in point, Team Liquid. Team Liquid was trying to find new players. I made a statement that they're never going with Flakes because they didn't want to. They tried out a bunch of different players. Those players decided to go elsewhere. They don't have a choice. They end up with Flakes. Those things happen. There's so many different things that happen from player to player. They may try out with said player. That player tries out with 3 other teams. You know what? He decides to go with that other team, even though he was pretty much locked in with this other team. And all the information that was provided is now wrong, or it's different. A lot of that stuff never sees the light. All the tryouts, all the factors that go into it. Is it a contract that is holding restrictions where they can't afford the buyout? Look at Mark by 8. Mark by 8 was potentially going to go to Envy. They couldn't afford it, or the like Visa stuff didn't work out in time. Whatever the reasoning, sometimes that stuff just doesn't play out. So while that information is brought to light sometimes, there's a lot of outstanding factors that may not necessarily allow them to come to fruition. Whether it be contract restrictions, buyout clauses, different tryouts, certain things to that circumstance. So keep that in mind when these things are being reported. While it is coming out, there is a multitude of factors that may cause it to change. But the one thing here that remains consistent is the fact that Shift has a very good track record, and this one does give us the full information. So this ends up coming out, and then Sean, not Sean Duras, but Unit Sean, who is a co-owner and CEO of Space Station, says, just to clear some things up about our Rocket League team, Retals was not kicked, and nothing has been officially decided by Space Station on the future of the team. Now understand, his contract is up to a certain point. So legally, they're still compensating Retals, and everything is going on. But at the same time, the players own the spot, not the organization. As long as 2/3 of that team as starters stay together. Arsenal, Retals, Retals, Daniel, Daniel, Arsenal. As long as 2/3 of that stay together, the spot in RLCS is theirs and no one else's. Doesn't matter if they're associated to Space Station or anything else. Does not matter. So even though the players have decided to take matters into their own hands, from what it sounds like, the spots, the ownership and everything is owned by the players as long as 2/3 of that stay. So while these players want to make sure that orgs don't have too much power, the same thing can happen to them through the players themselves. If 2/3 of your team make you the odd man out, that's how we get teams like the Leftovers, where Pashy kicked players within like a few days of sign up restrictions and like being like, hey, we got to sign up by this time at midnight. You got a day and a half to figure it out. Good luck. And then you just got to find a team and put it together. That stuff happens, unfortunately, all the time. It's cutthroat. It happens. It's ugly. But when we're dealing with younger kids, this stuff does tend to happen. It's loyalty seems to get spread pretty thin. Like, it's people that we thought were brothers and boys, and it can happen to them too. And I don't know the reasoning. Again, I don't know if we're ever going to know the reasoning why this decision came to be, but it is what it is. To my knowledge, behind the scenes, the way this came about, and from what rumors have been, I have not gotten confirmations. I have not been able to hear the specifics. But from what I have heard, so again, this is me saying this is not 100% true. This is not fact. This is just rumor and what I have heard, and I'm educating you on the process that we know as a collective. Certain people behind the scenes that were knowledgeable about this situation were talking and boasting about the situation. That information got heard and then made its way back to Retals before the version 1 space station series. So not only is Arsenal sick all week, Retals is playing his ass off to make sure that team qualifies through the wild card and gets to top 8. He then finds out for the qualifying match versus version 1 to see who makes top 8, makes the playoffs, Championship Sunday or not, that he is being kicked and that he is being replaced as soon as the season is over. To my knowledge, that is the order of operations of what has happened. Objectively, if I am the one doing this, and if I am the one involved, and this is the decision, there is no easy way to approach this, especially when the person has been with you as a player for so long and has the impact they do. But you tell them either before the tournament, so they are aware that their life is on the line and that they need to go and play sicko mode and out of their mind to showcase that when I'm a free agent, you be damned if you don't pick me up because I'm that guy. That's the first thing you say. Or, respectfully, you wait until after so you guys can play with no animosity. And then you inform, hey, we're probably going to go a different route at the end of the season. But to do it during, I personally don't think the people that were talking and boasting about it, I don't think they were intending for that to happen. So the things we do not know, who told him, I do know who was talking about it, and I'm not going to say who, but those types of things, like people talk. These pros are very close. Word gets around very quickly. Back to the original statement by the CEO, co-owner, Sean says, hey, we're going to work with each individual player on the team to decide what our next steps are, and we wish this was handled better. To me, which says, like, the organization is unaware that this was happening. Up next, couple things that happen. Jayski, who is with Shift. Jayski, if you guys don't know, has done all the graphics for all of, like, Dazarin's tournaments. He does all the designs for First Touch. Also in ownership and does a lot of work with the Golden Knights. Like, Jayski's a goat. We love Jayski. We stand Jayski. We absolutely love Jayski, everything he does and everything he's for. Guy is a hidden gem of this community that most people don't know about. But we love Jayski. So Jayski then puts out and says, hey, obviously he's still contracted under Space Station until 2023. While he's likely the odd man out, the organization has protections in place to keep him from being outright kicked. His teammates have the power to not play with him, but not to nullify his contract. So this is to provide insight and state like, hey, he's still on Space Station. He's still being compensated. He's still being paid, and it will still be paid, but has the ability to, if Space Station decides it, to make him a free agent, if they want to release him because of the circumstance. But with how much they're probably paying Retals, they're probably going to look for a buyout. Half hour after that goes by, Retals does put out a statement and provides more context and says, hey, I'm a restricted free agent. For those that don't know what that means, he is still under contract. He still has contract obligations with Space Station, but Space Station is going to allow him to go and look and try out and do stuff to his best ability to find a new home. If those tryouts and those things go well, that new organization will approach Space Station and say, hey, we would like your player. They come to a consensus of a deal that is compensation wise, that is beneficial for both of them. Firm handshakes, and we get the new iteration of whatever those teams are, whatever they look like. He says, I want to thank everyone at Space Station. Glad to have called it my home for the last 2 years. Please do not hate on anyone from the management side of the company. The decision was straight from the players, and the org itself had nothing to do with it. So Retals gives us, based upon insinuation, Space Station organization, org, staff, CEO, etc., completely removed. It's the players that made this decision. He says, I would like to thank, and he lists a bunch of people from the staff: Jack, Addy, Unit, Holiday, Shonduras, Pax, Blake, Jared, Pookie, a bunch of people from this organization that are all fantastic people. I have nothing but kind words as well to say about the Space Station staff. They're amazing people. He says, everyone else that made Space Station feel like home. I still feel like I have quite a bit left in the tank. Hope to see you guys for the next season. So all that goes on. A lot of people are talking. People are wondering, like, is it Chrome? Did Chrome, what's going on? Chrome, luckily, their coach does respond and says, best of luck. Wish we could have got a land ship together. Very proud of your transition as a player from when we first picked you up to now. Any top team would benefit from having you. And he says, appreciate it, coach, with a salute sign. So again, not Chrome, not the staff, not the supporting structure. a lot of focus is put on other people. A lot of people started doing some Reddit detecting and recognized that Slater still follows everybody except for Arsenal. Again, I am not here to assume anything, but again, we do not have all the information. I'm just providing that information. I do not expect you to go out. This is where I say, do your own homework, do your own research, make your own opinion. Be nice, be respectful. I'm happy with conversation. I'm happy to talk and discuss potentials, but I'm not going to assume what happened because I do not know the information. And I expect you guys to do the same, both here on Twitch and on YouTube. That is not how this community operates, okay? It could be a business decision. It could have been poor communication. There could have been no animosity, but we do not know the details, and we're going to leave it that way. The last thing is, for the first time in a long time, the Peeps, if you guys don't remember the OG Peeps, this is the team that in DreamHack Montreal beat G2 to win the whole thing, where Retals stood on a desk, also decided to tweet 3 Peeps, maybe insinuating maybe the Peeps is back. Again, not 100% sure, not exactly true or untrue. We do not know. But I'm just saying that Mist is a free agent, and he's looking for a team. Rogue's been kind of iffy. Maybe Gyro, Rogue, Mist, Arsenal. Not going to be there. So maybe we got Arsenal still doing his thing over here. Yeah, Retals, Mist, Gyro, Recreation, maybe under the Optic name. Maybe that's a potential. I don't know. Maybe. Could be a thing. Could be a thing. I don't know. It's a potential. There's a lot of conversations on Reddit about the situation. Everybody's kind of waiting in bated breath about this circumstance. And I think there's no real good way to like summarize this, because the situation is an unforeseen circumstance. It's a really frustrating situation to see as well in our scene. And even with things in place, you've got a fantastic organization that supports their players really well. We've got a team that looks like they're all buddy and they're all in a good place, and that, you know, results are solid. And maybe, just maybe, you know what, Space Station is trying to be a top dog team, and they've fallen short of what they would hope multiple times now, right? Top 6 at multiple events, falling to the inevitable winners. Here they place lower, you know, they're 9-12 overall, which is still a good spot, but they're super close to making top 8. And if they make top 8, who knows what kind of run they make. Maybe if this stuff wasn't happening, maybe it's even better. Arsenal also being sick. Like, there's a lot of different things, but it is crazy to me that I see the situation of Arsenal is sick. Arsenal is still playing well, throwing up blood and throwing up in between individual games in their series, coming back, hitting a double touch. Everybody's like, he's the GOAT, this and that. All this stuff is going on. And we had no idea this stuff was happening behind the scenes. It just goes to show that we truly don't have a clue of what is going on in this esport. And the only reason we do is because certain people bring it to light. Again, I tell you guys to keep an open mind. When I say I truly don't know, it's because I don't think any of us truly know what the heck's going on. And we are just along for the ride. So with that said, I wish nothing but the best for Retals and his future team and what is going to happen. We are still waiting on a lot of different news-related things for rosters to come out. There's going to be a lot of tryouts for a lot of different teams and a lot of different iterations. And I'm excited to just kind of sit back and enjoy it and figure out what the heck it's going to be. Because I can guarantee you, next season of RLCS, none of these rosters are going to look the same. It's all going to be crazy. Arguably, I don't know which rosters are safe. Well, I do know one roster that's safe. But they may have just won a world championship. Maybe there's another one that's okay, but not the point. All I'm saying, anything can happen. With that said, let me know what you guys got. Questions, comments, concerns down below in the description. Everything that I'm reading from and talking about in the links below as well, in chronological order about how they've been talked about. But yeah, wild stuff already, and it's only been 3 days. It's been 3 days into the offseason. We got 3 months of this. I don't know if I can take it, but we're out of here. Enjoy the content. Thumbs up, subscribe, notifications. You guys know what to do. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.